on the vlog again. Just can't wait to do a vlog again. The life I love is making vlogs for my friends, and I can't wait to do a vlog again. Doing a vlog again. Going places that I've never been. Seeing things that I may never see again. And I can't wait to do a vlog again. Hello everyone and welcome back to The Top Vloggers. As always, I am your host, Hi Mighty Joe, hanging out with your co-host,
the lovely Cat.
And we have a great vlog for you today.
You can join us on all of our social media websites, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at The Top Vloggers. Also, if you'd like to help us reach the top, you can do so by going to www.patreon.com/thetopvloggers. Without your help and support, these vlogs will be almost impossible to do. There will be a link in the description below.
And if you are new here, you can hit that subscribe button, take it one step further, and ring the notification bell to keep you up to date on all the future adventures that we will be going on our channel. So let's get going. Today's vlog brings us to Huntington, Indiana. Now, the Taylor Zent house, which we are outside of right now, is also known as Hart Funeral Home. It is an active funeral home as far as I know, and they also offer cremation here as well. It is a historic home that is located right here on Jefferson Street in Huntington, Indiana. The house is an excellent example of the Romanesque revival style of architecture, which I am definitely a fan of, because I think this is a beautiful home, and I would definitely own a home like this if I ever had the financials to have my own home built. This is very, very beautiful on the outside, that is for sure. It was built in 1896 to 1898 for Enos T. Taylor, a self-made businessman and banker. It was listed on the National Register of Historic Places in 1982, the year I was born, and it is located, as I said, in the North Jefferson Street Historic District.
One of Huntington's most enterprising businessmen and prominent citizens was the late Enos T. Taylor. His death from heart failure on March 6, 1908, precipitated a sudden and heavy sorrow upon a community which had known and honored him for half a century. His career, so typical in many ways of American success, has both incentive and inspiration. He did the duties that lay nearest and lost little time in dreaming. Of humble and honored toil he was never ashamed, and was for many years the possessor of abundance in the world's good, and of the esteem which is foremost in the human wealth. Enos T. Taylor was born in New Carlisle, Ohio on January 17, 1840, and was past 68 years of age at the time of his death. He was the last survivor of his immediate family. In 1841, William Taylor moved to Huntington and opened a cobbler shop in a little building on East Market Street, where later stood the Greyston Block. The boyhood of Enos Taylor was spent in humble circumstances. He was an energetic lad, a good student in the schools, and had ambitions for an education. However, when he was 14 years of age, his father informed him that the financial affairs of the family were such that the son could no longer continue even an irregular course in school. Though greatly disappointed at this turn in affairs, the boy made no complaint at entering his father's shop and learning the art of shoemaking. For many years he sat daily on his workbench, and in a few years had become an expert shoemaker. It is said that many of the older citizens afterward recalled wearing wedding boots and old rawhides turned out by the hands of E.T. Taylor during his early career.
And you have to admit that this is just a very beautiful home. I wish that they would have given tours of the inside of the home, but with it now being a funeral home, most funeral homes do not give tours of the inside of it, but I would definitely love to see what the inside of this looks like. And maybe one day they will offer tours, and maybe we'll be able to come back.
Yeah, but you got to also think, if they're going to offer tours, they need to make sure that they don't have anybody in there, because they don't want confidentiality. They don't want it getting out.
I agree. Very beautiful.
It was the beginning of a career which eventually brought Mr. Taylor into foremost prominence in banking and business affairs in Huntington. He kept up his work as a maker of shoes, laid aside all his earnings, and in 1860 had accumulated enough capital to buy the stock in the business from his father. From that time forward, his prosperity steadily advanced. In 1866, he used his own capital and all that he could borrow and erected the Taylor block of Jefferson Street. Under his careful management, the shoe business became one of the largest boot and shoe stores in Wabash Valley.
Wow. That's quite an accomplishment for a businessman.
Yes, it is. Mr. Taylor continued as a shoe merchant until 1888, when he sold out to W.A. Zeller Sr., who for many years previously had been the clerk in the Taylor store. Mr. Taylor's introduction to banking was in 1871. The Citizens Bank of Huntington was organized September 1st, 1871, with Frederick Dick as president, Enos T. Taylor as vice president, and John Morgan as cashier. The original capital stock was $50,000, and this was largely increased by the addition of surplus earnings. After 1877, the capital stock was all held by Frederick Dick and Mr. Taylor. In 1888, after selling out his shoe business, Mr. Taylor became actively identified with the management of the institution, and on the death of Frederick Dick in 1897, he succeeded as president, an office which he held until his own death more than 10 years later. Mr. Taylor was noted as a shrewd, careful, and conservative financier, and though he possessed the conservatism so necessary to banking, it was at the same time fair and liberal in all his dealings. It was said that Mr. Taylor probably had a call on more ready funds at times of emergency than any other businessman in Huntington. His interest extended far beyond the boundaries of the bank. He was at one time identified with G.B. Griffith under the firm named Taylor and Griffith in the manufacture of plow handles. Later, Mr. Griffith and his son Edward bought the interests of Mr. Taylor and carried on the business independently. Mr. Taylor was also for a number of years business partner with Colonel C.E. Bryant in the milling and timber business. He became a heavy stockholder in the Barker Brown and Company shoe factory on its establishment at Huntington, and still held a large amount of its stock at the time of his death. He was with other Huntington capital interested as a stockholder and director in the Kokomo Steel and Wire Works. The Taylor residence at 715 North Jefferson Street, where the death of the banker occurred, has for many years been one of the elegant mansions of Huntington, and during Mr. Taylor's life was a center for hospitality and culture. It was erected in 1898. Mr. Taylor greatly enjoyed his home and family, and outside the boundaries of his business and his home, he seldom strayed into more general social pleasures. In the summer of 1907, he built a beautiful summer home on the shores of Walloon Lake in Michigan, where the family spent a considerable part of the summer months. In September 1877, Mr. Taylor married Miss Emma T. Moore, who with 2 children survives him. The children are Miss Miriam, who completed her studies at the National Park Seminary in Washington, D.C., and Paul Taylor, who attended the Northwestern University, also graduated from Dartmouth College, and at the time of his father's death was vice president of the Citizens State Bank of Huntington. Mr. Taylor was a member of the AF and AM Amenity Lodge number 483 and of the 100F. He was fond of reading and study, was a member of the Methodist Church, interested in realty, philanthropic to a great degree, but never liked publicity, was a Republican but never sought office, and was a great leader of men.
And I have to admit, I think it's kind of a coincidence that Mr. Taylor passed away in this house, and now this house or mansion is a funeral home. I think that's kind of coincidental, but definitely, like I said, a beautiful home. And like I said, I wish they would have been able to give tours, but I definitely understand why they don't. Well, thank you so much for coming on this vlog. I hope you guys had a wonderful time. As always, I enjoy bringing them to you. It was a pleasure to look at this house, which is now a funeral home, and definitely enjoyed it.
It was really neat learning about this house, which is now a funeral home. Always enjoy bringing the vlogs. Hope you enjoy them as well.
And I think that's going to do it for us here today. We will see you again tomorrow with another vlog just for you guys. Until then, Top Vloggers out.